This is the City of Waupaca, first Tuesday of the month, City Council meeting.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our City Council meeting tonight. We're going to start out with a public hearing, and it has to do with the zoning ordinance. And Jared, could you inform us what's going on?
Yes, I can. So this public hearing notice is for ordinance 2422, which pertains to an amendment of our permitted and conditional land use table. This land use table the changes encompass residential land uses, commercial uses, and industrial manufacturing uses, as well as a few accessory uses. I guess main purpose of this is to kind of update and bring our land use table more up to date, as well as eliminate some of the conditional uses that staff felt were somewhat unnecessary, or just the land use didn't belong in that select district, just as changes occurred over time. So throughout the ordinance, there are a series of different changes. Some things are staying the same. As we get to the regular agenda, there will be a red line that is attached to this so that you can see the exact things that are changing, as well as the public can view that. So,
Okay, thanks, Jared. At this time, I'd be looking for testimony in favor of the subject. If you'd like to give some testimony, please go to the podium, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. And any testimony in favor of the subject. Okay, hearing none, I'd be looking for testimony in opposition of the subject. All right, hearing none, I'll declare this public hearing closed at 6:02. I will move right into the city council meeting. I should say the mayor is not here. I'm pinch hitting for him. He's joining us remotely. But he felt that it's appropriate to have the meeting chaired by somebody in person. That person's me. I'm Paul Mayo, City Council President. And I'd like to inform everybody I will be voting on agenda items. So we'll start out with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Barb, would you read the opening meeting statement, please?
This meeting and all meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
Thank you. And would you please take roll?
Mayor Smith,
Here.
Colin Dykstra,
Here.
Lori Chestnut,
Here.
Henry Veliker,
Here.
Scott Perchatsky,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
Dimitri Martin,
Here.
Eric Olson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, and as we do in all meetings, would you staff introduce themselves, starting with Barb, and we'll go clockwise.
Barb Nowak, Deputy Clerk.
Aaron Jensen, City Administrator.
Eric Bailey, Library Director.
Jared Raku, Community and Economic Development.
Justin Behrens, Director of Public Works.
Laura Colbert, Parks and Rec Director.
Paul Benjwell, Captain of the Police Department.
Okay, is Josh in the control room? Yes. Okay, and Josh Warner is IT Director. Okay, next we have the consent agenda. This is an agenda that is a collection of items that we vote on with one vote. If any council member would like to remove an item from the consent agenda, we can put it on the regular agenda and deal with it there. If not, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Who moved? Moved by Martin, second by Chestnut to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have the regular agenda. We don't have any additional items, Barb? Okay, no additional items, so I'd be looking for a motion to approve the regular agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Olson, second by Chestnut to approve the regular agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next up, we have announcements and correspondence. The only thing under that heading is a resignation letter from Pat Fair from the City Plan Commission and a Park and Recreation Committee. Just have that entered into the record. Next, we have public input. Public input is deals with any non-agenda items that somebody would like to talk about. If you have a non-agenda item that you would like to address council with, please step to the podium, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Any public input? Okay, we'll move on. Unfinished business. First item is ordinance number 22-2022, an amendment to Chapter 4.06, Parent 2, construction of buildings, Wisconsin Uniform Dwelling Code adopted, and Chapter 14.12, application of state codes. This is a second reading. Jared, would you like to refresh our memory?
Of course. So this one starts on page 52 of your packets. First off, thank you, Aaron, for covering this one at the December council meeting. So essentially this one is a mandatory requirement that we need to add to our code per the state if we'd like to keep our commercial building inspection delegation status. So essentially what we're adding here is a section that says we will follow the code as it pertains to camping units. So that is essentially it. Once we adopt this, I just have to notify the state that we have adopted it, and they check us off that we are in full compliance.
Okay, thanks, Jared. Any questions for Jared? Okay, this is a second reading, so we'll be voting on this tonight and need a motion and a second for approval.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved by Peterson, second by Olson to approve ordinance number 22-2022. Any discussion? Barb, would you please take roll? Roll call vote.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 absent. Do you say 1 absent?
Sure. Yep.
Motion carried.
Okay, thanks, Barb. Next, we have ordinance number 23-2022, amendment to chapter 17.205, accessory structures and use. This is also the second reading. Jared, would you fill us in?
Of course. This one starts on page 54 of your packet. This one is relating to accessory structures. It's a bit of cleanup. If you go to page 55 in your packet, you can see the current code states that accessory structures are prohibited in the street yard or primary street yard. So just stating that any street yard, they're prohibited, which this causes a problem for corner properties or properties where they may have a street yard in their front and rear of their property. Just really limits where they can actually put, and in some cases really prohibits the size. Looking to clean that up, actually a previous change when we did the total overhaul of our zoning code, we had already added in there a secondary street yard setback for accessory structures with the purpose of changing the language in the section that we're changing today. So we are covered. They will need to be set back a minimum of 20 feet, but they can be within a non-primary street yard now, so a side street yard or a rear street yard.
Okay. All right, thanks, Jared. Any questions for Jared? All right, I need a motion and a second for approval.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Chestnut, second by Martin to approve ordinance number 23-2022. Any discussion? Barb, please take a roll call vote.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 absent.
Thank you,
Motion
Barb.
carried.
All right, we'll move on to new business. First item is resolution number 1532, a resolution authorizing the City of Waupaca's application to the Vibrant Spaces Grant Program through the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. Greg Groman, please inform us what's going on here.
Good evening, Council. So I am asking you to authorize a resolution to submit an application to the Vibrant Spaces Grant Program. This is a new program that was created by the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. They're making grants of up to $50,000 for projects that create vibrant places, new engaging places for people to gather, specifically in commercial districts, with the idea that these spaces that are created through this grant program would encourage people to gather and then increase pedestrian traffic in a downtown environment. So the program that we're looking at supporting with this application is a proposal from the Danes Hall of Waupaca to construct a plaza in the space where the side street is currently with a barricade. It's in the space between Rasmussen Park and the Danes Hall. They're looking at building a plaza there with seating for up to 28 people, as well as improving some of the pedestrian ramps and stairwells in order to increase their handicap accessibility. Because as it is right now, there's really no way to get in there if you have any mobility impairments. The City of Waupaca would be required to submit this application on their behalf in a public-private partnership model. They are not eligible as a private entity themselves. So there is a one-to-one cost share for this grant program. So while the state would provide $50,000 through this grant if it's selected, the Danes Hall would need to provide a cost share equal to the value that's provided. The City of Waupaca, the City of Waupaca will not be providing financial aid to this project. It'll simply be applying for the project on their behalf in order to get them access to that state money. Passing a resolution is a requirement of the WDC to move forward in this process. So I invite your questions about our proposal and would like to see it passed so we can get it submitted before the deadline later this month.
All right, thanks, Greg. Any questions for Greg? Anybody? Nope. Okay. If you're in agreement, I would need a motion to approve this grant
So
application.
I'll second it.
Moved by Chestnut, second by Veliker, to approve resolution number 1532. Any discussion? Barb, would you please take a roll call vote?
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 absent. Motion carried.
Thank you, Barb.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. Next, we have a conditional use permit for Times Square Joint Venture LP owner, Americo Real Estate Company. Who's doing this? Jared.
Yes. Thank you very much. This one starts on page 57 of your packet. This is a conditional use permit request for 800 West Fulton Street. Excuse me. Earlier meetings, there was a condo plat and a certified survey map that came through. This is just continuing on with that same process. For Unit 1, which is when you're looking at the staff report on page 57, it is the left side of the newly created kind of condo unit 1, unit 2, and that is the old Kmart side. So on that side, U-Haul is looking to move into the space. For that, they are looking to utilize a couple different land uses as they have an expansive business plan that they are looking to do. Those proposed land uses would include indoor storage and wholesaling, self-service storage units and mini warehouses, sales, service, and repair of light-duty vehicles for their U-Haul truck and trailer rentals, and then sales, service, and repair of Category N heavy-duty vehicles, which would be the larger storage and moving trucks, which they would rent out of this facility. So those would be the ones that would require a conditional land use. They would have a few accessory land uses, which would include retail, things like that. As part of this, in a site plan that was approved earlier by Plan Commission, they would be looking to also add 4 additional buildings. One would be part of their U-Box program and would be a brand new building in the kind of Fulton and northwestern corner of the parcel, so in the parking lot. And then they'd be looking to do some outdoor mini warehouses that would suit more of, they explained it as more of like their contractor clientele that may not want to put their things inside, and they don't need climate controlled, but still would like easily accessible storage. So this conditional use permit is paired with a site plan that was already passed at Plan Commission, and then Plan Commission did recommend approval for this one.
Thanks, Jared. Any questions for Jared? Okay. I'd be looking for a motion to approve the conditional use permit for Times Square Joint Venture LLP owner, Americo Real Estate Company.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Chestnut, second by Peterson, to approve the conditional use permit. Any further discussion? Barb, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Dave Peterson?
I'd have discussion.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to ask whether or not anyone knows if the indoor conditioned space will be used for like moving pods?
Yeah, I'll say we do have a representative of U-Haul, so if we would like him to come up,
Sure.
I'm sure he's more than happy to answer any questions about the specific business.
sir, when you step to the podium, please.
The building that we're talking about putting in the parking lot would be specifically for that use.
Okay.
So it's portable storage units, but it would be something that we offer to the community for moving in to the area. So yes, that would be specifically what the building in the parking lot would be used for.
So those will be able to be dropped off at a client's site and then filled up and then brought to your
And brought back,
facility?
and
Okay,
then can be shipped in from anywhere in the country or shipped out to anywhere in the country.
excellent. Thank you.
I got a question. Eric, I see you've got drive-in self-storage. How does that work?
To the right of the existing doorways that Kmart had, we will put in 2 doors there. It will be blocked off and secured from the storage, so you have to swipe in and out of the building. But we have it so that people can come, pull up to a garage door. The garage door will open. You can pull inside and load and unload in a climate-controlled area. So people don't have to be out in the parking lot loading and unloading. You're doing it in a climate-controlled area.
Very nice. Thank you.
Anybody else? We have a motion.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Barb, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Dave Peterson?
Aye.
Henry Veliker?
Aye.
Eric Olson?
Aye.
Colin Dykstra?
Aye.
Paul Mayo?
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky?
Aye.
Dimitri Martin?
Aye.
Lori Chestnut?
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 absent, motion carried.
Okay, next we have ordinance number 24-2022, an ordinance amending chapter 17, City of Waupaca zoning ordinance. And this is the first reading. And Jared, you're up again, please.
Thank you very much. This one starts on page 81 of your packets. This is ordinance number 2422, which was the public hearing that we had just before this meeting. So this is looking at the permitted conditional land use table in our zoning code. Quite a few different amendments coming up here or in this one, mainly looking at eliminating some unnecessary conditional uses, rearranging some of the land uses where they're permitted and where they're not. Just some of the districts have changed over time, and with the recent zoning code update, and comprehensive plan update, just bringing those more in line with what we're looking for in those districts. There has also been some condensing. So we had quite a few different land uses. I'll use crockery stores as an example. That would just fall under general retail, something we don't have to regulate anymore. I'm sure back then when things were just first coming in, we wanted to be a little more restrictive, or we wanted to have a little more hand on things. But over time, businesses and business plans have combined, and just they're much more general now. So kind of combining into more of a general categories to make it easier for businesses to move in to business, or businesses to understand what we zone them as, et cetera. So quite a few of those as well. And then just some more general cleanup, just making sure that our language in there is correct, taking out unnecessary things that just may fall into another category. And that would be it. Happy to take any questions. Again, this is the first reading. I would welcome, if you do have any questions after this, to feel free to email me, and I can have answers ready for the next council meeting.
Any questions now? All right, this is the first reading. This will be on the agenda on our second meeting of the month, at which time we'll vote on it. Next up is a land purchase agreement between the City of Waupaca and, I'm going to butcher this, Alexi Lisagor.
Alex.
Yeah, he goes by Alex.
Oh.
Yeah, his legal name is, I mispronounced as well, but he goes by Alex.
Okay. Alex Lisagor. Jared, you're up again.
Yes. So this one starts on page 96 of your packets. So what this is looking at, this is a agreement that would be in partnership with an offer to purchase that was submitted. So Alex Lisagor, who is the owner of Waupaca Rentals, they recently purchased a property out on Industrial Drive, 701 Industrial Drive. It's actually where Fastenal is and Paws and Claws used to be. So they are looking to move their business out into that area. They had recently came forward for a conditional use permit request and some site plan changes. With that, they would like the opportunity to expand their business, in which they would need more space. So they approached the city in hopes of purchasing property that the city currently owns. Upon talking with them, the original offer price, or the original price that we were looking to get, it was not in their wheelhouse. So we looked for ways that they possibly could still purchase the land, but for a reduced rate, and what the city else could get in return, essentially. So the agreed upon was a purchase price of $20,000 for approximately 1.86 acres, I believe. And in return for that reduced $20,000 price tag, they would be looking to dedicate a portion of their property on Water Street to the city, in which it would be incorporated into Rotary Riverview Park. Obtaining this piece of property is in many of our strategic plans, and Rotary Riverview plan, the Riverfront plan, trail plans. So really an essential piece to get, and we feel it's worth a lot. So that's one of the big components. We will be responsible for the certified survey map work, but really excited that that opportunity arose, and we could partner with Alex to get that. In addition to that, we'd be looking for our first right of refusal on the property. The other half of the property they'd be sectioning off, which is the apartments on Water Street. Just if a redevelopment opportunity ever occurred, we could look to them, or if they ever looked to sell, we would obviously have first right of refusal and could purchase the property again if a development was there. The third one would be a guarantee that they would be adding an accessory structure out on 701 South Industrial Drive, which would move their outdoor storage to more of an indoor and just increase the aesthetics of the area. So bringing this forward, looking to get approval to move forward with this. They have already submitted the offer to purchase and have agreed upon this agreement. Once we have the agreement by council, then we can move forward with it. So excited for this opportunity.
Sounds like a win-win. Yeah.
Very much
Good.
so.
Yep. Thanks, Jared. Any questions for Jared? Henry?
I think it's a great win-win for both sides. So I appreciate the staff being open to putting this together. So I think it's real positive. Thanks.
Thanks, Henry. Anybody else? All right. I'd be looking for a motion to approve the land purchase agreement between the City of Waupaca and Alex Lesagor.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Veliker, second by Dimitri Martin. Any further discussion? Okay, Barb, would you please take roll call vote?
Sure.
Thanks.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 absent, motion carried.
Barb. Next up, we have a contract for economic development services, neighborhood planners, and neighborhood planners. And Jared, is you again.
I think this is my last one.
Okay.
So. This one starts on page 105 of your packets. So this is a memo and a kind of preliminary draft contract for economic development services with neighborhood planners, which is our current economic development specialist, Andrew Dane. So just with some reorganization as we look at budget and just general workload of the department, we wanted to move Andrew from more of an hourly part-time employee role to a contract-based role where he had set tasks at a set price point. So working with him, we selected 2 major tasks that we would look to accomplish. These 2 tasks are tasks that, to be all honest, the department would not be able to handle if he was not taking them on. I think they are 2 tasks that are very essential. The one is the administrative role for the ARPA home repair program, which we are looking to continue to expend, I believe, $300,000 into that program yet this year. So a lot of money that could go out to residents to assist in home repairs. A lot of administrative work that goes along with that, but very beneficial to the community. The other one would be the Churchill Street Corridor Plan. So recently we did create TIF 12 out on Churchill Street. So having some sort of plan for that area as development interest comes in, or as we seek out development interest would be very ideal. As we have a TIF, that TIF has a time limit, so we want to use that time wisely and to our advantage. So having a plan, I think, could really help with that and give us direction. Those are the 2 major ones. He still has agreed to assist with smaller tasks, just clean up, or if we have obviously questions or if he has ideas, he'll still collaborate with us. So he's been absolutely wonderful to work with, and I would not want to lose him. So looking for an approval of this contract We'd have an official one made up and signatures, I believe, unless this is enough, I don't know. But contract would look the same, scope of work would look the same. So would be looking for approval of this contract.
Thanks, Jared. Any questions for Jared? All right, I need a motion and a second to approve the contract for development services with neighborhood planners.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Chestnut, second by Veliker, to approve the contract for economic development services with neighborhood planners. Any further discussion?
Can you talk a little bit more about this Churchill Street corridor plan and why that's a necessity?
Yeah, of course. So right now we have a TIF district out there that is looking to assist with redevelopment. Churchill Street corridor is a corridor that staff feels is again, the downtown we've really improved. New streets, we continually add businesses, et cetera. Fulton Street, has had some improvements and continues to have businesses. The Churchill Street corridor, I guess, needs some love, to say the least. So by having a document that, does things such as identify possible infrastructure, identify, gateways, wayfinding signage, aesthetic improvements, work with property owners out there to see, where their stance is, what they'd like to see. What else was here in wayfinding, placemaking recommendations, infill, redevelopment, and reuse concepts. Having all of that at our disposal just really assists us if we have a business that inquires with us. We can say, hey, we know there's a perfect fit for you here. Here's our vision. It kind of brings more people on board with, hey, I do want to locate there. I do want to fix up that building. We have H.H. Hinder out there right now that is looking to do, obviously, their space they have now, the brewery space, but also an event space. So getting some more anchor businesses, I know it's not a mall, but anchor businesses on that corridor would be really essential to the success of that area. So that generally the idea.
My concern at this part of the this part of the contract is that I feel the city and the Economic Development Department is already very aware of the existing conditions, so we're not really getting much out of having a plan. To have somebody who's a contractor interact with the people that are on that block and the landowners and people, I think loses the value of having someone who's a long-term employee of our city be involved with those people, because this is going to be a project that's going to take multiple years. And so I think we're losing an opportunity by contracting this out to somebody who may or may not continue with the city.
Yeah, this would just be a start. Of course, a thorough corridor plan, it can be upwards of $100,000, but we're not looking to get that with Andrew. We're looking for a start, so that, again, regular longtime staff can take on that task of seeking out development and using that kind of as a starter guide. Whereas, if I look to start this now, I most likely would not get this year. Maybe I'd start it next year. It would take 2 years to complete, where it's just not my primary focus. Where if there's a start, somebody already gave you a push, so it's a little easier to take off and go a little faster.
What I don't see is a deliverable that's really valuable related to the expense that the city's going to pay. I don't see $10,000 worth of deliverables there, so I don't really support that part of the contract. Maybe if there's something I'm missing in regards to that, someone can bring it up. Aaron, it'd be fine.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. I would just mention one thing that Jared didn't touch on. Meetings that we've had frequently, when I say we, myself, Justin, Greg, our grant writer who was here earlier, there continues to be influxes of money that are coming through the feds and the state for street-related projects. Very recently, we talked about Fulton Street, which is on our capital plan, and submitting a larger scope grant for that. We also talked about connecting the Fulton Street corridor with the Churchill Street corridor, and the connection point being School Street, Badger Street, so on and so forth. Because the fact that we don't really have a thought-out process, a plan, a community plan, other than the comp plan, which I think, I know you've read through, Colin.
Right.
That does call out the Churchill Street corridor as being a priority. We don't have that planning document that shows where we're going. So we don't feel we can submit a high-quality grant application for something should that opportunity come up. So I think that, from a monetary standpoint, that's our biggest value in doing this now, because I don't think anyone really knows how often these opportunities are going to come up, but we know we want to be prepared for them as they do, and we don't feel like we are, and we know it's a priority piece. And the only other thing I'll say is, you know, I think that's a good point on Andrew being a contracted service, and we don't know how long, you know, he'll be around, and plans like this take years to materialize. I don't see this as being a situation in which he's out there by himself. I mean, I think Jared will be a piece of it. I will be a part of it. Justin will likely be a part of it. Our development review team will. We just need that point person and somebody that has experience in developing these plans to help facilitate it. So just wanted to make those comments.
In a couple of the other plans that Andrew has done, it seems like the overall developer or the management team, whoever's going to build out whatever he's been contracted to make these sort of plans for, has contracted with him once they get some sort of agreement with the city to develop that area. Is that, I don't know, it just seems like we're going the opposite of that. You know, when you look at the work he did with, I think it was Nina or some Water Street, he was contracted with somebody called RPG or something to do that work on behalf of the city and not directly with the city. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to see us just throw $10,000 out there for a plan that isn't going to get us anything. But if you think it is, mm-hmm. and it's going to allow us to get grants, et cetera, then maybe it is worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I would say the same thing. I would also not want to bring something forward that we felt like it was $10,000 just thrown at something. We actually brainstormed quite a few projects that we thought Andrew had the skills to really be that deliverable and a focused work. This one rose to the top because of the value that we did see, because of those conversations we have been having and those opportunities that may be out there that we don't feel like we're positioned for. So that's, you know, I spoke to that already, but that's the value we see in it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? A comment? All right, we have a motion and a second. Barb, please take roll call.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 absent, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb. Next, we have resolution number 1531, 2022, a resolution updating special charge for garbage and recycling for calendar year 2023. Justin.
Yes, thank you. This resolution is shown on page 109 of the packet, and it is for our garbage and recycling charge. So this is from our garbage and recycling agreement we have with GFL Environmental. So last year we signed a 5-year agreement with them, and then within our ordinance, it states that each and every year we need to post and notify the public of the price changes. In that 5-year agreement, the cost goes up each year by about 3%. So for next year, the garbage pickup is $9.27. The recycling pickup is $3.85. And then also the city has a 10% administrative charge on top of that. So this charge goes on our utility billing, that's done by Shelley. So it covers that effort to get that done, to get all those bills out. And then she's also the point person for the calls for the comments, the complaints. She's the point person here in the city hall. So that's what the admin charge is there for. So when you add all that up, the charge is $14.43 for 2023, which is a 3% increase from last year. You can add a cart for either garbage or recycling. So each residential unit gets one garbage and one recycling tote. Garbage is picked up weekly. Recycling is every other week. Our new city calendar has included that indication on each month. So we have it color coordinated with a map in the calendar. It's also published on our website. And then your day of pickup is that color in the calendar. The recycling days are included as bold numbers, so that should help, I guess, people figure out when recycling is, because I even get confused too. But if you want to add a garbage tote, it's an extra $10.20. If you want to add a recycling tote, an extra $4.24. There is a diesel surcharge, so that is also in the agreement, and that did come into effect this last calendar year in 2022. This is the same as when we first agreed on this, or came in contract with this agreement with GFL. When the diesel fuel prices go above $4 a gallon, there is a 1% increase once it hits that threshold, and then every quarter after that, there's another % increase. Within the agreement, we have it spelled out of where we get these prices. We use a federal website where they list the prices nationwide. It is broken down to regions, so we use the Northwest region, and because we've had to, we keep close tabs on that. So if this resolution is not passed per the ordinance, then we revert back to our previous year's pricing. So it's important to get this approved. Otherwise, the city budget would be taking the expenses on. It has been noted in the ordinance, and it's going to come up several more years as long as we're on this agreement. I would like just to take a couple more minutes just to note that the ordinance is in place, and there are some stipulations on things you can and can't do, and we've tried to do some education. We have not done any enforcement yet, and probably the biggest issue that we see so far is people leaving their totes down by the road. Now, you're supposed to have your tote up by your house, whether in your garage or outside, until pickup day, which you can roll it down there the day before, 6 a.m. the day before, and then you have up until 6 p.m. the day after to bring it back up to your house. So leaving it down by the road has become an issue in some areas. So just trying to bring a little more awareness that this coming year we might start following up with a little more enforcement. So with that, I'm just looking for approval.
Thanks, Justin. Any questions for Justin? All right, I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve Resolution 1531.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Peterson, second by Elson to approve Resolution number 1531. Any discussion? Hey, Barb? Thank you.
Yep. Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Lori
Aye,
Chus-
excuse me. Sorry.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 absent, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb.
You're welcome.
Next is a wastewater treatment facility plan. Justin.
Yes, I'll keep going. Thank you. So my memo is on page 110 and continues on in 111 in the packet, followed by some attachments and supporting documents. So at our wastewater treatment facility, we're regulated largely by the Wisconsin DNR. This one deals primarily with NR 110. And basically, the code says that every facility needs to have a facility plan. So much like a comp plan or other guiding plans we've done with the city, this is much like it, but just for the treatment plant. So it's per the statute, it's only applicable for 20 years. Our current plan was last adopted in 1997, so it's well beyond that age. During our last several major improvements down at the treatment plant, we've received some feedback from the DNR that we should really look at updating our plan. So when we do projects or improvements down there, we need to get DNR input. We also many times need their approval. And if we do not update this plan, there could be a chance where they stop approving our projects. So it was a thing that the wastewater operators and myself started talking about doing. So what we did was we created a request for proposals or an RFP and distributed that out to several consultants in the state. We received 4 back in mid-November, and basically within the RFP were a number of requirements and things we wanted to see. You can scroll up a little bit, Aaron, please. Numbers up. Numbers 1 up a little higher. So those 4 numbers there, and what is listed is kind of like the meat and potatoes of this project, this plan we need to put together. The things listed below it, we're not going to go over this. Is just stipulations that we had included for these proposals. We also put in there we wanted this plan done by the end of the year. And what that means is preparing this plan and then coming back and presenting it to council again for approval. And then from there, we need to take it to the DNR and seek their approval. You can scroll down, please. Page 2. Thank you. So the proposals that were received are listed on page 2. Of the 4 firms, they're all listed there along with some numbers. That is scoring. So between myself and the 4 wastewater operators, we have grading criteria basically on like 6 different areas, which kind of range from like firm prestige, the qualifications of the individuals working on it, the cost, level of effort, and then just a basic assurance that we're going to get a quality product. So you can see the scores, and when we sat down and compiled all this and talked within our group, it became apparent that there was 2 consultants that stood above the rest. The other 2, Clark Dietz out of Wausau, scored okay, but the cost was the highest, so we kind of counted them out. Robert E. Lee out of the Valley scored pretty low, and the cost was at a point where it was concerning low, where the concern was we would not get a quality product and something would be missing that we would need. Keep in mind that this document needs to help us out for 20 plus years. So then the 2 that remained were McMahon out of Neenah and Strand out of Madison. And it was very close. So we got back together. We reviewed the proposal several times and came up with a list of questions. And then we send them on to the consultants and by an email. And what we wanted to do was try to make sure we were comparing apples to apples. They both responded, and we were assured that both consultants or both companies would give us the product we needed at a high level, a high quality. And so basically we felt we were left with a tie. And the tiebreaker then went to cost, which you can see Strand is under McMahon by roughly $3,600. I have an individual here tonight from Strand Associates, Mr. Ryan Jens, in the back there. You can ask him questions in just a minute. I'm still rolling here, so if you could keep scrolling down, Aaron, please. Their proposal is included in the packet here. If you go to 117, please. Here's a page from their proposal, that basically hit on those 4 main points that we had asked for the consultant to work on with us for this project. So the first one is that red square area, which is phosphorus compliance and advanced biological treatment. So that's right there in the middle of the plant, and it's pretty much the most important part of the treatment plant as far as treatment goes. So we have to harbor and grow bacteria, and it has to stay alive in there, and that helps us with our treatment. The major things that it contributes to is ammonia, nitrates, and phosphorus. And the DNR has made it abundantly clear that they are going to reduce phosphorus limits in the near future. So our next permit update, right now we're comfortable meeting our permit and compliance. At our next update, it's going to be a little difficult. Ammonia is very important. If it is too high and goes out into the river, fish are very sensitive to ammonia, and we could have what's called a fish kill event, and that would automatically trigger us into a sanction or reprimanded by the DNR. And then the other nutrients that are handled within there, it's just a very important part of the plant. So is the reason why it's one of the main things we're looking at. We do push air into it to keep some of the bacteria alive, and that is our number one cost at the treatment plant is the motors that are running these blowers adding air. So it's the number one thing we want to focus on with this plan. The second one in the orange is biosolids processing. So the plant, most plants you can think of have two sides. There's a solid side and there's a water side. This is the solid side. So out of our settling tanks, we take a lot of the solids out, push it to that side of the plant, push it through an anaerobic digester, which we produce gas, which we try to reuse as much as we can to heat the buildings, heat boilers. But there are times where we have to flare it, we have to gas it off. So instead of just releasing it to the air, it's burnt because when it's burnt, it creates carbon dioxide instead of like a methane, which is kind of the lesser of two evils. The stuff that is not used up goes to that large tank at the very bottom. That's our sludge holding tank. Every year we have to pay someone to truck that away, which is pretty much a land application to farm fields or a fertilizer application. That is our second biggest expense at the treatment plant. So again, we'd like to focus in on that area and see how we can make it better. The green box is our grit removal. It's fairly early on in the plant. We have a fairly old technology there that's very common, but it's extremely important as the grit removal takes out the grit, the sand, the dirt, the pebbles. The more of the stuff that remains in, it's just kind of scours. It's sand. So as it goes through these channels and pipes and pumps, it creates a scouring and it can wear out our equipment. So if we can effectively remove it at the front end, it should help maintain our infrastructure further down. So it's an area we want to definitely look into. And then finally, the blue is just the holistic plant hydraulics. So our plant is designed to handle 1.5 million gallons a day. We're slightly oversized, which is a good problem to have. However, having a better understanding of how water flows through the entire plant is going to help guide us with all these improvements. For example, we just got done with our small digester project, and that was a rehab. It's $450,000. So if we need to replace or rehab a tank in the future, we need to have this information to be as cost feasible as we can be, whether it makes sense to build a brand new one or to rehab one. And at the same time, if a different size would help. We've dabbled throughout the years of taking some tanks offline just because there's times where some tanks treat too well and then it upsets further down the line. So if you can just keep scrolling, Aaron, please. So this is the rest of the proposal. A couple things that stood out for Strand. First of all, they provided examples of other facility plans done in Wisconsin in the last 3 years. There was a total of 12, which was far and away the best. I think the second closest was 5 or 6. The staff that they listed had all high credentials. Every single one of them, except for one of the staff members that'll be helping on this plan, have master's degrees, which is pretty impressive. Of the other firms that submitted, the other teams did have a couple people, but not an entire staff. There is one guy on here that does not have a degree, but he's actually a wastewater operator, so we kind of think that'll help out with the other wastewater operators. They sometimes have their own language, so help with communication during the project. And then if you could just scroll down, Aaron, to page 139. Thank you. This is the schedule that Strand proposed. So we put in there, we just wanted this done by the end of the year. And they put together a more aggressive schedule, which is fine. It just means that we'll be coming back to you probably early to midsummer. Again, we need to get your approval in the future, and then we need to send on to DNR. So we're going to be looking forward to getting this done sooner than later because it will help shape our 5-year capital plan and other improvements at the plant. If you could skip ahead again to page 154. So this is a draft task order or agreement. It is in draft mode currently. Well, until it gets approved, then we'll finalize it and then we'll seek signatures. So everything that's written down on the sheet has been reviewed and agreed upon. It lays out pretty much everything we asked for in the RFP, along with just some of your standard responsibilities. We provide most of the data and input, and they provide the effort to put this plan together. So with that, I guess looking for authorization to go in agreement with Strand for an amount not to exceed $74,300 with funding to come out of the sewer utility revenue bonds. And I'll just open up to questions for me or for Ryan.
Scott?
I have one. Does executing this plan, does it usually come after it's all been done and with the recommendations maybe for additional infrastructure down at a plant like you're looking at ours? You know, like more tanks, more equipment, I guess.
Yeah, it certainly may. That would be, one of the first parts of the plan is to look at population projections and see how much flows and nutrient loadings would be coming into the plant, and then looking at your existing infrastructure, tankage, and equipment, and seeing if that's properly sized to be able to handle both your current and your future demands. And if, let's say, you might be over capacity in year 10, then the plan might say, well, in the midterm future, you might need to add another tank or something. I think Justin has mentioned earlier that I think your last plant was a little bit on the oversized, so I don't think we anticipate much for additional tankage, but possibly consolidating or making it more efficient if possible. But we'll get to that.
Does that phosphorus edict entail any new equipment if they really get stringent on us, DNR?
It may. You guys are, Waupaca was fortunate in terms of your permit cycles where you guys are kind of on the tail end of the phosphorus legislatures. So a lot of other communities in Wisconsin have already implemented technologies and whatnot. Okay. So the industry's kind of had its chance to work its way out and work out the kinks associated with it. So that's good.
And typically, DNR doesn't say you have to make this improvement. They just say, here's your limit. You have to reach it. And then it's kind of up to us to figure out why.
Okay, thanks.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Colin?
That was a really good presentation. I'd like to make sure I understand a little bit, so I'm going to just say something. You tell me if I'm right. The DNR's mandates us to have this plan.
Correct.
You want to make this plan. We get to approve it in a number of months, and then we send it to the DNR.
Correct.
We don't know if they'll approve it or not.
No, I guess there's not 100% that they will.
That's fine. That's fine. My question is, at the point that we send it to the DNR, it looks like Strand's job is done. If the DNR says, hey, this isn't any good, what do we do then?
I think we will respond to any comments from the DNR.
Okay, so that's included in our contract here?
Correct.
That's what I understand.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. All right, so
if
you guys will get to us, to the city of Waupaca, not the city of Waupaca, to approval on this plan?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. If there's no other questions, more comments, I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve the agreement with Strand Associates.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Dykstra, second by Chestnut, to approve going into an agreement with Strand Associates for an amount not to exceed $74,300 funding to from the sewer utility revenue bonds. Any further discussion? Barb, take a roll call vote.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Abstain. I work for one of the 4 companies under consideration.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
7 ayes, 1 absent. Motion carried.
Thank you, Barb.
Thank you, everyone. We look forward to working with you.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. Okay, next is the mayor's appointment of Barb Nowak as interim city clerk. I think that's self-explanatory. Normally, it's something I would announce, and so I'm announcing it, and we have to approve it. So if you're in agreement with that, I'd be looking for a motion and a second to confirm the mayor's appointment of Barb Nowak as interim city clerk.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Olson, second by who? Dykstra, to approve the mayor's appointment of Barb Nowak as interim city clerk. Any discussion? Barb, would you take roll, please?
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 absent. Motion carried.
Okay, next up, we have an option to purchase agreement with Mosaic Development for RETA tax credit application. Aaron.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. On page 158, you'll see a memo, and this is an option to purchase agreement with MF Housing Partners LLC. This is something that is almost identical to last year with one tweak. Marissa Downs, president of MF Housing Partners, is in the audience tonight, and I'm sure can answer any questions that you may have. But we were approached a year ago at about the same time, wondering if we would be interested or willing to sign into an option to purchase a parcel of property in the River North area. They did submit an application on our behalf. I can tell you, as we went through that process, after we do this, there really is no additional work from the city and city staff. It is all taken care of by Marissa and her team. That would, of course, change if we were awarded the tax credits. Last year, some scoring criteria kind of didn't work out in our favor. There are some things that Marissa believes that have changed that make us a little more competitive this year in the same area with a tweak. And that tweak is we've kind of moved it from the north of Fox Valley Tech to the west of the property of the River North area, which is off of Industrial Drive, directly north of what everyone probably knows as Centerline Machine. And that option is approximately 5 acres to purchase. The reason we did that is because these WETA tax credit projects, they take a lot of different sources of funding to make them work and to provide that affordable housing for our communities. If we can get into a spot where there's less infrastructure needs, that's only going to help make the numbers work in the end. If we get the tax credits, we would, of course, have much more detailed conversations about what development agreements look like. We could zone in on exactly what that spot is. This isn't necessarily locking that spot in. We have talked to Hoffman Development Group and HDG, Steve Willie, and had a conversation with him last week about this, and they were supportive of working with us to make this happen if we are awarded the tax credits. But again, this is the first step. It's a requirement of the application that City Council does support this type of an option. So that's what we're here asking for, very similar to last year. Okay, thanks. If you guys do have questions, feel free to ask Marissa to step to the podium, and she'd be happy to do so. Yeah.
Marissa, thank you for being here. Typically, how many applications does WIDA see?
It always depends, and I guess that's when I called Aaron because we were really hopeful last year. We missed it by a couple of points. We knew at that time that the one place that was sort of out of our control, some of these census tracts, and WIDA had some county scoring that Waupaca County just didn't get any points in. But now this year, miraculously, Waupaca County has points in this category. So when we looked at it, we thought, okay, this did change our score to be from below where the cutoff was last year to above where it is this year. We think that there will be less deals submitted because it's a terrible time to try to do anything that needs a loan or builds something with the construction pricing where it's been. So we do seem to think that there will probably be less. We never know, but we're sort of, let's say that 17 deals get funded a year. There are probably 30 that get submitted for consideration. But who knows?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Nobody? Oh, Colin.
I wondered about the location, why specifically that side of the street. Anyway, the reason I wonder about it is it seems to me that any development into River North, that area you're describing is going to be probably the most used thoroughfare into the subdivision. And a small concern would be entering your subdivision right through a low-income housing area, and it might be detrimental for home prices in that area. And so I wondered if that was a concern or a thought, or if I'm out of my mind.
So I think, so I mentioned the infrastructure and the advantages that provides. If you go to the west of Industrial Drive there, we have that set aside for more commercial type development to help the neighborhood. If you go to the south and you're along the infrastructure along Godfrey, you have a lot of topography there that you're dealing with, which presents challenges as well. Every time we've talked about a lot of different and varying entrances into the neighborhood in this specific location. And every type of entrance and development that we've talked about in a conceptual manner is about that 4 to 5 acre project that fits what Marissa and her team are proposing. Did we have the conversation specifically in detail around your comment? We haven't. However, again, I want to reiterate that this is not set in stone, right? So this could be moved within the balance of the area because the points will be the same, and WIDA will look at those as reasonable requests. So those details will all be talked about in detail if we get awarded the credits.
Okay, thank you.
Henry.
Marissa, maybe you could address, I think there is a perception, and Colin, has mentioned it. We contemplate housing for all income groups in town. So my question is, you're familiar with the apartment complex in the East Gateway? That could have been funded with tax credits, could it not? Is it if the developer wants to go through the energy to get the credits?
Yes, I think that in most communities similar to Waupaca, a market rate apartment building will be really similar to what a workforce apartment building would be. There might be some different income levels, but the majority would be very similar. And also, this the concept for this development is a single-story cottage style, so just maybe, let's say 6 units attached with individual entrances and attached garages. So it really, I think, it's a low-density product type. It also would have its own drive, interior drive, so it wouldn't really, face front to the main road. It would have its own private drive and sort of face in, low density, and then, with landscaping and other things. So it's not, I think, when we envision what, let's say, affordable housing looks like. It's sort of changed over the years, and I know there hasn't been anything new here in a long time, so it's hard to see sort of what that looks like, but it is very similar to what you're talking about too in terms of style. Yeah. If that's helpful.
Okay. Thank you. All right, ready to vote? Okay. I need a motion and a second to approve the option to purchase agreement with MS Housing Partners, LLC.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Veliker.
Second.
Second by Peterson. To approve the option to purchase agreement with MS Housing Partners, LLC. Any further discussion? Barb, roll call, please.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 absent, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb.
Yeah.
Next is an engagement letter with Johnson Block and Company Incorporated for 2022 through 2024. Who is this?
This
Aaron?
is me.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Marissa. Council members, on page 163 of your packet, there's a memo that outlines what we are requesting here. This would be an engagement letter from Johnson Block and Company to provide our audited services for the years 2022, 23, and 24. You can see the services that we are accustomed to getting every single year for the past several years are listed in the first 4 bullet points there on that first page of the memo. General fund and all other governmental funds, auditing those, auditing the water utility, auditing the sewer utility, and auditing all of our TIFs. We have 5 that we are responsible for in those in the years we're talking about. We also, in this proposal, are looking for an option that would allow us to use Johnson Block as a resource for staff to assist, if needed, in the preparation of a couple different mandatory reports. The first is the state financial report, which is also called Form C. It's a very important report because that report is tied to us receiving shared revenue through the state, which is obviously substantial. And they could be a resource for that, and they could prepare them entirely for the fee that you see in the chart. Public Service Commission Annual Report. This is something that we've done in the past recently. We actually, 8 to 10 years ago, we had Johnson & Block also prepare that report. But we'd be looking for that option at least, as we have newer staff members in the finance department and wanting to make sure we're providing the tools to go through these right. And then the TIF annual PE reports, you can see those are at $750 per report. So those second 3 bullet points would be more of like an a la carte option, and we would look to do everything we could, and working with Stephanie and Kate to prepare those and work through preparing those on our own. However, we would like to have that again as a potential resource if it's needed this spring. You can see, and I apologize, in the picture chart, you'll see if you look at 2023, it says $1,400 for general fund and other governmental funds. That there's a 1 missing there. That should be $11,400. The totals at the bottom all equal the same. So maybe just focus on the totals. But you can see the audit services are separated from the reporting services. The audit services are what we are going to incur and what we're looking to incur no matter what. And then the reporting services, again, are that as needed basis. So consistency with our auditing services is been super important for a couple reasons. Number one, they've become very, very familiar with all of our funds. Every municipal fund or every municipality it can look very different from what kind of funds that you have, what kind of funds you don't have, how you operate within those. They're also important. They've been important and a great resource because they're very, very familiar with our financial software system, Civic, and they've been a big help as we've had a staff transition in that area. Additionally, they are very familiar with some of our TIF strategies and TIF funds that have been around for a long time that we are continuing to work towards closing out. TIF 8, TIF 4, TIF 10, and those will be staggered to be closed out from anywhere from 2028 to 2032 is what we're looking at. For all those reasons, we feel that they are by far, in a way, the best option for the city of Waupaca at this time. Additionally, it's important to note that as you look at these, right, so audit services, general fund, and other governmental funds, that'd be a general fund expense. Water utility, sewer utility, TIF districts, all the costs associated with each fund can be charged off to each of those funds, which helps us, as the general fund is always our tightest. Just for a little comparison, and I just want to compare the fees to last year, and I'm just going to compare the audit services because we didn't have the a la carte kind of option. But last year, 2021, we were at 30,800. This year we're at 33,000, or for 2022, and then you can see it moves up to 34,500 and 36 at the end of the 3 years. So pretty comparable. You're looking at a 7% increase from 2021 to 2022, which if we compare that to many of our other contracts is right in the ballpark over this last year with inflationary pressures, and then 4.5% 2023 and 4.4% in 2024. So with all of that, I'm happy to answer any questions. It is staff's recommendation to approve a contract with Johnson & Block, and if this does get approved, they would be coming already in mid-January, actually January 9th, 10th, and 13th to begin the audit process in person if it is approved. So again, happy to answer any questions.
Dimitri?
So, general fund and other government funds, it sounds like it's pretty much encompassing everything within the city being audited. Is that accurate, or are there certain areas where we're not going to be audited?
No, it is absolutely, it is everything. Yeah, so other governmental funds examples may be, like right now we have a recovery fund, which is some of our ARPA money was in. We have sometimes the TIF, so TIF 10 actually in the audit is technically counted as an other fund because it's not big enough monetarily to be listed as a TIF, although it is, and it can be charged back to it, but it's counted as other governmental funds. So those are just a couple examples, but yes, everything is audited.
Any other questions? Okay, I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve the contract with Johnson Block and Company for
So moved.
2022 through 2024.
Sorry.
Sorry.
So move.
Moved by Chestnut.
Second that with the reporting
Right.
services as well. You want that as well?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll
Second by
second that.
Veliker.
Thank you.
To approve a contract with Johnson Block and Company Incorporated to complete all required audit services and reporting services as needed for audit years 2022, 2023, and 2024 for amounts not to exceed the totals specified in the charts that were presented. Any further discussion? Barb, roll call, please.
I have one.
Oh, sorry.
Erin, so the one for the annual report, is that the one that we last got in 2018, I believe? Would that be some coverage for that? Always in April we would get.
Yeah, so we have finished up these audits late the last couple years. It's been closer to like August, September, and that's been some of our staff turnover. We're up to date. All of our audits are complete, posted on our website. This year, again, very important in our eyes to start this in those dates that are mentioned in this memo. We would like to get back on track and have the beginning of it be January and have Jay come and give a report in April-ish time period, as you're referring to. So, yeah.
What happened to the ones from 2018 to present?
They're all on the city website.
I don't think they ever came before council. I think, and they used to come before council.
Okay. Yeah, the intention is going to be for these to come before council. And yes, I think with the lateness of some of those and the fact that we were in the budget process, that was the large reason probably that did not come forward at that time.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good. All right. Barb, roll call, please.
Sure. Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
8 ayes, 1 absent, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb. Next up is a proposal to sell concessions at South Park Beach. Laura.
Hi, Happy New Year's, everybody. So we are looking to offer concessions at South Park Beach. For the last 20 plus years, they've been selling Freezy Pops for 25 cents a piece and have typically sold around $2,000 for a profit of $400, just off 25-cent Freezy Pops. We have 2 vending machines currently out there, and they have become very unreliable. In the past, we've had keys to these machines, but the new owners of the vending company don't allow us to have the keys, and they're slow in responding to any out-of-order issues. And so sometimes there's a week or so that goes by without any sort of vending options out there. Many patrons have asked if we sell concessions, and so we would like to be able to accommodate that request. So we are looking at this summer to start selling concessions. And if we look down at the attachments, on the photo on the left, Aaron, do you want to scroll down? Thank you. That is an old metal frame that was put in the early 2000s to house bags for patrons if they wanted us to hold on to their valuables. And what it's really turned into is a placeholder for lifeguard whistles or flippers or whatnot. And so on the picture on the right shows that we actually have lockers for those items. So we're going to take down that metal hanging contraption, and we are going to put in a countertop and shelves. And we are going to start very, very small with prepackaged items that anybody would typically bring to the beach. Granola bars, candy bars, chips, string cheese, and the like, so that it's less messy and less of a kind of a to-do for our lifeguards and people working. And I've already talked to Bruce Sternweiss, who is the head lifeguard, and our rec supervisor, Leslie Beiersdorf. Leslie runs the concessions or is the lead concession person out at Swan Park and is very well versed in how to order things and how to train the people to use the computer systems. And so she's going to work with Bruce on not only ordering, but also the training. And Bruce will identify a few lifeguards that can help sell concessions. And apparently it's a very user-friendly interface that we use. It's the monitor is touchscreen and it's very easy. And I've already talked to Josh Warner, who's given me the pricing of the cash register system, as you see below, all the upfront costs. So by talking to Josh Peterson, the counters and the shelf are going to be about $450. Just a small fridge and freezer is what we're going to purchase for now, a small safe to keep our cash in, and then the register system. So we're looking at about $2,656, give or take, to start up the cost. And if we hopefully outdo those 25-cent Freezy Pops, hopefully we can pay for this within the first year. So our recommendation is to authorize the selling of concessions at South Park while the lifeguards are on duty.
Thanks, Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Questions for Laura? Okay, I need a motion and a second for approval, if you'd like to do that.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Martin, second by Chestnut, to approve the proposal to sell concessions at South Park Beach this summer. Any further discussion? This is a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Against? Say no. Motion is approved. Next, we have license report number 1604, denial of an operator license to Colt Flynn.
All right. Hello. Thank you.
He was here and he left.
I'm sorry.
He was here and he left.
Oh, okay. All right. So as you know, the police department is responsible for conducting a background check on anybody that submits an operator license. And if there's any they are asked to appear if they want to, and they are told that their application could be denied for various reasons. So Chief Hosell had completed the background investigation on Colt Flynn and asked that it be denied based on some prior alcohol and drug convictions. 2016, there was a felony F charge for manufacture and delivery of heroin. Same year, possession of narcotic drugs. 2015, possession of narcotic drugs. And 2014, manufacture and delivery of THC. So based on those and the flow chart we use to determine the eligibility for the license, we'd ask that it be denied.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? All right. We're looking for a motion and a second to approve license report number 1604, the denial of operator license to Colt Flynn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Chestnut, second by Veliker, to approve a license report number 1604, a denial of operator license to Colt Flynn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next is license report number 1605, operator licenses for those on the list.
I'll make a motion to approve license report number 1605.
Second.
Moved by Veliker, second by Peterson, to approve license report number 1605. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next is license report number 1606, taxi driver's licenses. Barb, you have something to say about this or not? Okay.
Nope, all the background checks were completed.
Okay, good. Need a motion and a second.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved by Peterson, second by Olson, to approve license report number 1606. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next is license report number 1607, taxi cab vehicle licenses.
I'll make a motion to approve license report number 1607.
I'll second.
Moved by Veliker, second by Chestnut, to approve license report number 1607, taxi cab vehicle licenses. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. And license report number 1608, dance hall licenses. Need a motion and a second to approve.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Chestnut, second by Veliker, to approve license report number 1608, dance hall licenses. Any discussion? Oh, Colin.
There's a ongoing development above, I think, what people call the old City National Bank. That was going to be a dance hall. Does that need to be included in this? Is that something we're missing, or is that a separate thing?
That would be separate. I think it would be sometime before.
Okay,
something like that
fair enough.
before. Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. We have new issues or project discussion. Next is communication and recommendations of the mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Great job again tonight. I just wanted to congratulate Barb. I hope it's a congratulations on
Thank you.
being named acting city clerk. And also, I think most of you have on your desk a a picture that we had taken earlier of the council and the staff at that time. So that was a Christmas present from the city to each of you members there. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Mayor. Need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Ellison, second by Martin. To adjourn until our next meeting on Tuesday, January 17th, subject to call. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. We're adjourned at 7:31. Thank you all.